So I just picked up these new shoes, the Jordan 12 PSNYs, and I knew that I needed something kind of minimal and kind of fancy to match with it. So I decided to make this clean work jacket, which is why you guys are here. I'm going to be showing you guys how to make it. I think this is a pretty easy jacket to make, kind of like an intermediate level, so it's not that hard and it's really simple. Let me give you guys a better look of the jacket real quick. Okay, so here is the jacket. Has a collar at the top. It's lined on the inside, which, I mean, you don't have to put the lining, but that's just what I decided to do. It has this zipper right here running down the middle. Bam. There's also cuffs at the sleeves and at the bottom, and it has two single up pockets at the sides. So with that, we're gonna jump right into the tutorial of how to make this work jacket. So let's go into the material. So the first material that we have right here is this black duck canvas. And our second material is going to be this black satin right here for the lining. And the third material that we're gonna need is this right here. I already opened it up and used it. It's on the jacket, but it's this heavyweight metal separating zipper. It's 22 inches, but for you guys, it might need it to be shorter or longer. I also found out that while opening this thing, this zipper is actually from 1980. So that's pretty much what you guys are gonna need for this project. We're gonna move on to the pattern. So for the pattern, I don't have like a digital thing that you can print out. I should probably learn how to digitize the pattern because I think that would be a good resource for you guys. But for right now, I just have it sketched out on a little piece of paper as a reference for you guys. So for the pattern, we're gonna start off with this piece right here. This is the back piece. We're gonna need one for the outer, which would be the duck canvas, and we would need one for the lining. Now for these side panels right here, this is what you're gonna need to cut out. This is exactly 1/2 of this right here, except right where it ends, right over here, we add 1/2 of an inch just for some seam allowance. And you're gonna need one for the right side and then one for the left. Now the last pattern piece for the outer shell, you're going to make the sleeves. So for this, you're gonna have to do 2 on the outer material and then 2 for the lining. But we're also gonna need some side panels on the inside, so right here. But as you can see, there's a little difference in material. I kind of switched it up to canvas at the edge right here, just so that it would be better when stitching down on the zipper. If you don't mind the fabric, being different, then you could probably just cut the same piece as you did for the outside. But if you do want to have that change in the fabric, so this right here is the same shape as what I had right here, but the only difference is that it's cut right over here, and there's also 1/2 inch seam allowance added over here, and then 1/2 inch seam allowance added over here. Just so that when you sew these things together, it'll match up to the dimensions of this. And now for the little details that are gonna put everything together. First, we have the collar piece. We're going to need 2 of the outer shell materials. We're just gonna sew those together. And also from the outer shell materials, we're going to need to cut the cuffing. I made this 2 inches, right? So mine is 2 inches, so I double that, 4 inches. And then you'd also have to add the seam allowance. So in total, it was 5 inches. And then the length would be however long that cuff would be. You'd need 2 for the sleeves, and then you need 1 for the bottom of the jacket. Now really you could just fold up the jacket instead of making a cuff, but it's a little more fancy, a little more professional to just sew in that cuff. And now lastly, for the pockets of the jacket, you're going to need to cut this shape right here. I'm not going to show you guys how to sew this, but I'm going to drop the tutorial down below. I'll put the link there and you guys can kind of see how to make the pockets. You need 2 for the outside of the pocket and then 2 for the lining, the inside of the pocket. And with that, that is all there is to the pattern. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show you guys how to sew this jacket up. All right, for the first step, we're gonna align the side panels to the back of the jacket, right side to right side, and we're gonna sew right at the shoulders. So after I sewed the shoulders together, I flipped it inside out and I did a little top stitch just to add a little detail and some more durability to the jacket. You don't have to do this, but I just wanted to add a little detail. So now that we have those pieces attached together, we're going to flip it inside out so it's not showing any of the seams, and we're going to flatten it out on the desk just like this so that we can attach the sleeve. Right here, I'm just marking the middle of the sleeve so I can match it up to the middle of that like sleeve part. So I'm just going to match it to the middle, and from there I'm going to pin it all the way around, right side to right side, and then we're going to sew all the way around so we can attach the sleeves. So now that we have the sleeves sewn onto the body, it's time to close it off on the sides of the body, as well as the bottom of the sleeves. So I'm just aligning everything up with each other, making sure it's looking good. And I'm just gonna pin it in that kind of L shape right there, and then we're gonna sew it with our seam allowance 1/2 inch. Alright, so now we have the body completed. We're just going to add the details of the pockets. And like I said before, I'm not going to show you guys how I made the single wall pockets, but I'll link down a video in the description of like where I learned how to do it. Now for the lining, you're going to want to repeat the entire process of what I just showed you guys, except for the pocket piece. So now that we have the outside of the jacket and the lining complete, it's time to attach them together. Alright, so here's where we're going to grab our zipper. First we're going to separate it, and then we're going to match up the right side of the zipper and flip it onto the right side of the outer shell of the jacket. Now we're going to position the zipper 1/2 inch below the top of the collar, and that's because we're going to leave some space so that we could actually add the collar after everything is sewn together. And we're going to squish it in between the lining as well as the outer shell, kind of like a sandwich. The outer shell of the jacket should show no seams, but the lining should show all the sleeves. And again, we have the zipper squished into the middle, and it's flipped, so it's right side to right side. Now we're going to squish all those layers together, and then we're going to sew all the way down on that side, making sure that we don't stitch over the metal pieces of the zipper. Okay, so once we stitch it down on that side, we flip it over, check it out. You can see the zipper poking out in between those two layers. So now we're going to do the same process with the other side of the jacket. Now that we have the outer shell of the body, the lining, and the zipper attached to each other, we can flip this thing inside out and tuck the lining where it should be. And we're so close being done making this jacket. We have the main part of the body created as well as the lining. You can zip it up, zip it down. I mean, if you want to, you could be done here, but we got to attach the collar as well as the cuffs. So to create the collar, I took those two pieces and I put them right side to right side. So you're gonna want to stitch on these three sides over here. 1, 2, and then 3, and where I put the lines over here, that's like the seam allowance, right? So you don't want to stitch down like right over here, as well as this entire bottom right here, but you're going to want to leave an opening at the bottom so you can attach it on the jacket. So now that you're finished with the collar, it's time to attach it to the actual jacket. So this process is a little difficult for me to explain, so you're gonna have to watch the visuals to kind of see how I did it. We're gonna fold the edge 1/2 inch in. So this is like the bottom of the collar. We have it folded in 1/2 inch. Pretend this matches the jacket right over here. We're going to place it right in between, clasp it right here, and then we're gonna top stitch so that there's no rough edges being shown. And now that we have the collar attached, it is time to attach the cuffs. Now for the cuff of the sleeves, this was a little bit of a difficult process, similar to the collar. We're folding in the rough edges, 1/2 inch in, but this time we gotta fold one of the width size 1/2 inch in as well. So we would fold it in half, and we'd put one edge into the other, and I just sewed it all the way down, but I made sure not to close it so that you're still able to open it all the way around. So now that you have the cuffs with the sleeves sewn on, it's time to sew on the cuffs for the bottom of the jacket. Now for the bottom cuff of the jacket, you're going to want to measure the entire length of the bottom of the jacket. And then from there, you're going to want to add 1/2 inch seam allowance to both sides. Now you're doing this because you're going to want to sew at the end of the cuff, and then we're going to flip it inside out so that it has a clean edge to it. And also, before you sew it at the two ends, you're gonna wanna flip it outside like so, and then you're gonna sew down. And now once we've sewn up the cuff for the bottom, we can now place, again, the jacket inside of the cuff, and then we're just gonna top stitch that all the way around. And that's a wrap on this tutorial to making this work jacket. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. It's a very nice jacket with a nice outer, with a nice lining, with nice pockets, and a nice zipper. And last but not least, I know you guys are probably dying to see me wear the jacket with these shoes, so I'm gonna put these on and I'm gonna show you how it looks. Okay, so here's the final look of the jacket, the shoes. It's looking pretty nice. Just put a pair of jeans on to show you guys, but that's how it looks. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you learned a little thing or two. Hope you made this jacket. If you did, please send me a message, and I'd love to see it. So yeah, that's it for the video. I'll see you guys next time.